What can we expect in year one of the James Franklin tenure at Virginia Tech? At the helm of the Hokies, Lane Stadium, storied program, new start, new chapter for James Franklin in his coaching career. A coaching career that has seen 128 wins, 60 losses, one Big Ten championship, mounds and mounds of success for Coach Franklin. Now, obviously, the elephant in the room and what really ended the Penn State tenure, albeit a very good tenure for James Franklin, at least up until the argument that we're going to talk about here, is winning the big games. I want to dive headfirst into why this video is titled the way it is, and we're talking about Virginia Tech. We obviously can't talk about that without bringing up the past experiences and, tumultuous, if you want to use that word, or I guess just overarching theme that James Franklin has struggled winning the big games. I think the beauty of this and a fresh start at a program like Virginia Tech, at least in the state that Virginia Tech is in right now, is when we look at the schedule at the tail end of this video, you're going to see there are absolutely big games, but the expectation is going to shift a little bit, especially in year one. I think there's a whole lot less pressure on James Franklin. I think this allows him the ability to be himself, to build a program. We've seen him do that at Vanderbilt. He went to Vanderbilt, he built a program in a very short turnaround. And mind you, this was a time when NIL and portal, and it was a lot harder to go into a school like Vanderbilt and do what James Franklin did. He then went to Penn State, obviously a lot more resources there, and he had success. Now, not to the level that many wanted it to be or expected it to be, myself included in that. I felt like he could not get over the hump there. Reason being, I couldn't tell you. And I don't know if James Franklin could tell you. But I think sometimes when you're in a rut, the best thing for you is a fresh start. I think coming to Blacksburg is going to be absolutely massive for James Franklin. I'm excited for Virginia Tech. I'm really excited for this season. Let's go ahead. Let's start with the obvious here, and that's that Franklin's an incredible recruiter. Outside of the fact that he wins football games, he had 14 straight top 25 recruiting classes at Penn State. You can sprinkle in a good amount of top 10 classes in there. I believe he had a top 5 class or 2 in there. So that's natural for him. He's a very good players coach. He builds relationships. He's taken 100+ athletes to the NFL level in his time at Penn State. So getting guys to come play for him will not be a problem. And that's something Virginia Tech obviously needs, right? You think back to the Beamer days when this program was extremely successful. You have to think now, a lot of those recruits that you're targeting probably weren't even alive the last time Virginia Tech was competing at a very high level within college football or the Beamer days. Or if they were probably in diapers and don't really remember much of it, not even the Mike Vick days. So something to keep in mind when you have a guy that can recruit as well as James Franklin, this is huge. Another thing to think about, he's used to this area, right? Regionally speaking, in that general area, kind of up in the Northeast, that's obviously where Franklin's spent the last 14, 15 years, even Nashville, right? Vanderbilt not being too far from that either. So he's familiar with the area. He's familiar with the talent that's sprinkled in and around there. I think that is a huge thing for him. You now have the portal, which is going to be a big deal too. The next thing, though, we have to talk about is exactly that, the portal. We know that in order to get into the portal and really just to get into recruiting nowadays, you got to spend money. It's the reality of it, whether we like it or not. In Virginia Tech, there was a lot of studies and a lot of reports done that the Hokies really were reluctant to spend money. Compared to some of their ACC counterparts, they were one of the least, I guess, willing to spend or just factually spending when it came to their athletic department. Well, they have pledged to at least put forth $229 million towards that athletic budget over the next 4 years. So I think they're not only bought in on Franklin, but they're actually realistically, right, money, fiscally speaking, bought into James Franklin. I know he told them, hey, if we want to make this happen in today's day and age, we got to pay these guys, right? We got to put our money where our mouth is if we want to have success. I think that's huge. Okay, that is absolutely massive. Now, let's get to James Franklin's staff. The X's and O's, of course, are what win games. It's not always just talent. We just saw that with Curt Cignetti in Indiana, but bringing Brent Pry back to Virginia Tech, not that he was gone for very long, but now having Brent Pry back as a defensive coordinator as opposed to a head coach, I think is a good move, right? I think Brent Pry had a lot of success when he was under James Franklin prior to taking the Virginia Tech head coaching job, for those of you that did not know that. So I think getting him in a role with a little bit less pressure for him, it's less pressure for Franklin. These two have clearly worked successfully together in the past. I think it's beautiful harmony. I'm interested to see how that goes. And I think this allows Pry to really just focus in on his strength, which has always been, and I think will continue to be, defense. Ty Howle comes over from Penn State as the offensive coordinator. I love this hire. Friends, this was the top-rated tight ends coach in 2024, according to a couple of award givers in the college football world, but it's been known for a while, right? Guys like Tyler Warren and Zach Kuntz, some of the tight ends that came out of Penn State that were developed from Ty Howle. He was the co-offensive coordinator since 2023 of a Penn State offense that wasn't the greatest, but again, he wasn't the lead play caller. So I'm very interested to see what he does here with Grunkemeyer and some of the talent they might have or continue to bring in. I like the staff that Franklin's assembling. He's got guys that he's familiar with. He's going to be able to build rapport. He's going to be able to create a culture that's not entirely new, at least to him. And I think players will enjoy that. They'll buy into that. I'm really excited for that. So number 21 recruiting class. As of right now, as it stands, obviously that could vary by the time this video is published, but just keep in mind when Franklin took the job at Virginia Tech, they weren't even in the top 50, not even in the top 75. So already hopping all the way up to number 21 is huge. The streak of top 25 classes is going to stay alive. We'll see what Franklin can do on the field. So with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's pull up the Virginia Tech schedule. So you can ignore the top game, right? The spring game, we'll get a little sprinkle of what's to come for the season, but we have the Virginia Military Institute, I believe is what VMI is. Week 1, Lane Stadium should be a win, inevitably there. Old Dominion week 2. This is an interesting game. Old Dominion is a very good football team. They're sneaky good. I'm not quite sure what their outlook will look like this year, but having a tune-up game before Old Dominion, I think, will be good for them. I do think they can start the season 2-0, and they should realistically. Now, at Maryland, again, tricky game, but this is one with a new coach, new vibe, new atmosphere, bringing in a lot of talent. It could click. Maryland's also a question mark team this year, as it stands right now in the Big Ten for them and their outlook. I think Virginia Tech's in a similar situation. It could absolutely be a coin toss, anybody's game. At Boston College, again, same story. Boston College, when you look at the ACC outlook, is up in the air. We don't know what we're going to get with Boston College. I think there's a good chance they could win that. Then their first, in my opinion, true test against Pitt at home, though. Friday night, Lane Stadium, under the lights. I mean, if they go into this game, guys, even there's a chance they could go into that 3-1, maybe 4-0, wishful thinking. Those are the type of games that Franklin lives for, albeit I understand he hasn't won a lot of them. But again, it's year one at a new program. What are we deeming a big game, right? There's likely not going to be a top 10 matchup on here outside of maybe Miami at the bottom. That we're getting ahead of ourselves. At Cal, again, winnable. We'll see what Tosh Lupoi and the Golden Bears can do this year. Georgia Tech at home, that'll probably be a night game. That will be electric, considering Georgia Tech might be ranked and be in a good spot. At Clemson, tough one. You get a bye week, then you go at SMU. Again, another tough game, right? Back half of the schedule gets a bit tougher. You got Stanford at home. Good chance of winning that game. At Miami, obviously a tough game. And then you end the year at home against your rival in Virginia. So, guys, look, this schedule to me has bowl game written on it. I really think this is a team that can go out and win 7, maybe even 8 football games this year. I confidently say that, just knowing the energy around James Franklin. I think even the excitement that he has, the opportunity to coach, the fresh start, he had plenty of offers on the table, and this is the one he chose. So knowing that Franklin wanted to come to Virginia Tech, the feeling, of course, is mutual. They've wanted to invest. He's already recruited extremely well. He's already dove headfirst in the portal. He's got familiarity with his staff already. I think there's something special on the horizon here for year one. That is my expectation. I'm thinking 7 or 8 wins. I know we're way early, but we're going to do a series like this for every single new head coach. So Lane Kiffin, John Sumrall. The list obviously trickles all the way down, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about this hire for Virginia Tech, what your outlook or your thoughts are on the upcoming season for the Hokies. Appreciate every single one of you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Thank you.